So I'm going to stand in for Cyril tonight because I don't think the real Cyril will be able to speak truth. So I'm going to stand in for him. And Cyril's going to be making, pleading for forgiveness tonight. He might be on his knees at the end of the State of the Nation. And he's going to be begging for forgiveness for many things. He's going to be telling you about all his sins. And he's going to reflect on his past as a youth and so on. So, having given you that backdrop, I think I will now start with the state of the nation if Cyril Ramaphosa was honest. And I'm going to give it to you as if I am Cyril. So I'm going to speak in the first person. I become Cyril Ramaphosa, and I'm going to give it to you straight. So, this evening, speaking to you as the individual people of this beautiful country, I have to firstly severely apologize to you for failing you as a moral leader. That is the first thing that I want to ask you. I want you to forgive me for failing you as a moral leader. I want to ask you to forgive me for forgetting my past, my start in life, my parents that really cared for me, that taught me so many things. My parents had raised me as a Christian with moral values. The school that I attended, where I became the leader of the Christian Union, where I was a moral compass for my school based on Christian values that I believed in at the time. And whether you, as a citizen of this country, is a believer or not, I believed that I needed to have moral values. I believed that I needed to live by all the teachings of Jesus Christ. And I led that movement in my school. And somewhere along the way, I lost that belief and moral compass. Now, I still believe that I still believe in my original faith. I want to apologize to you for not applying those principles in my life. The principles of forgiveness, the principles of compassion, the principles of leadership, the principles of wanting the best for other people, the principles of not mixing with people that are corrupt, the principles of helping the poor and the vulnerable and the sickly, the principles of not abusing the downtrodden. And I want to apologize to you for the path I took when I left school and I went into university, where I started mixing with the wrong people that did not hold the same moral principles that I did. The communists and the socialists that I mixed with, that were combatant kind of people that wanted to hurt other people, even kill other people, to enforce their beliefs on them. I want to apologize to you for getting caught up in that and even supporting terrorist organizations in Mozambique. I want to apologize to you for letting my parents down, my Venda parents and my Venda culture, and me not actually living by those cultural values. I want to apologize to you for shortly after that being pulled into organizations that wanted to maim, kill, plant bombs, and do many other things. And this is not the African National Congress I'm talking about, other more extreme organizations that wanted to do things to hurt people that I believed had done me an injustice. And I still believe that injustices were brought upon me. However, I want to apologize for choosing a path of hatred, retribution, and wanting to hurt others because I felt hurt. This is not the Christian way, and I should have not gone down that path. I want to apologize to people as a young man how I loved the fact that Harry Oppenheimer, a very rich man, gave me lots of attention. How he roped me in to start a union, one of the largest unions in the country, and how he coached me and taught me how to control the mine workers and actually give him exactly what he wanted so that he can continue pillaging all the minerals out of South Africa under the British Crown. I want to apologize to you for the fact that I know all this, knew all this, and did nothing about it. In fact, when he offered me shares in Anglo American, I gladly accepted those shares and a salary in lieu of those shares being paid out. And I knew that my life would never be the same again. I knew that Harry Oppenheimer would look after me in ways that I could never imagine, that he would give me all the untold wealth that he said that he would, and he made good on his promise. I apologize to you that I lied to the mine workers whose lives and jobs I said I would protect, that I fell for this person, institution, instructions that would sell out these mine workers, making them believe that the biggest strike in South African history, that biggest strike in South African history in the mining industry would make all the miners feel like they are important. I made them feel important. But after that strike, the deal I had struck, which was planned a long time ago, would increase the living standards of the miners, increase their salaries, but at the cost of much higher production. And I didn't tell those miners that I was abusing their trust. I didn't tell those miners that I was actually working for their boss, their enemy, who only wanted to rape this country of every single bit of mineral that it's got and deliver it to the British Crown. I want to apologize to you when you tried to set me alight because you discovered that I was a sellout and a traitor, for the fact that a man that I opposed saved my life and stopped me from being engulfed in flames, a white man. I want to apologize to the fact that I did not meet my fate that day and that justice was not served, that evil was on my side, and that I continued on in the fight against everything that is good in this country, that I sold my soul to a new order that was promised to me would be implemented amongst my people, where they would have untold wealth and riches, where they would get houses, where they would get everything that they had ever asked for. All I had to do was do the work for the global elite, and I did it willingly. I want to apologize to you that I, as Cyril Ramaphosa, was there during the time of Nelson Mandela, was there during the time of Thabo Mbeki, was there during the time of Jacob Zuma, and was then elected president myself, knowing full well that I was always earmarked to be president because my mentor, Harry Oppenheimer, and all the people that he manages told me that I would be president one day and that I would have one simple goal, that I would be president at a time in the world where outside institutions, outside of South Africa, unelected institutions would dictate to our country and our people how they should behave, how they should live, how they should give up their livelihood, so that we can implement a great control system among the people of South Africa that'll make them fully reliant on government and large corporations. I apologize to you for the fact that I benefited for many years before I came back to politics from the funds that I accumulated at the hands of Harry Oppenheimer. The fact that I can admit to you that I did not make my billions myself, that I was made because I was willing to do certain things, and that I believed that I was doing it for the greater good of the people of South Africa, and that my benefit from that was for the greater good of my own life. I want to admit to you that my conscience is now starting to play on my heart in my older age, and I am thinking about the legacy I will leave behind. And I have realized that I have done wrong, and that to fix this, I would have to tell you all, admit to you everything that I have done wrong, that how I have wronged the people of South Africa is the worst betrayal of South Africa, of democracy, of the current constitution we have, the current Bill of Rights that we have, that I knew all along that the Bill of Rights and the current constitution would oppress and suppress the people of South Africa, that I knew full well that the people of South Africa would be mere pawns in the hands of a global elite, few people in South Africa that'll use them to achieve an end goal where none of them would feel and matter to themselves whether they are still human, where none of them would feel like they have options or choices like humans anymore. And I have come to the realization that everything that I was promised, everything that I was told would happen, has not materialized for the people of South Africa. That I was lied to, that I was deceived, and yet I played along because it was for my own benefit. That in my old age now, I feel remorse. I realize that I was wrong, and I beg you for forgiveness. I ask you humbly to consider starting anew. And now, as I reveal to you the things that need to change, I would ask that all of you endeavor, as a combined citizenry of this country, to change in your hearts and in your minds so that South Africa can find a true place on the world scene without this international influence that I have allowed into your lives. I knew that the system being used that made you believe that in 1994 that you could become free by making a cross, I knew that it was a fraudulent system. I knew that the system would give powers to politicians like myself to allow world powers unelected by you to come and dictate things to us as a government, and that we would have the right to take your freedoms away at will, and that we would exercise that right willingly and with a laugh. I apologize to you for not only all the lives lost due to people giving up, but all the jobs lost, all the businesses lost. I apologize to you for all the children suffering, for all the people that have passed on because of conditions they developed due to the conditions that I created, because I listened to these global organizations dictating to me and I accepted their dictates. I allowed them to dictate to me and I enforced these dictates not only on the ministers in my cabinet, but also on all the committees that was set up to make the public believe that South Africans were in charge. I apologize to you for the fact that I have known all along that there are wealthy South Africans that whose wealth was given them by the British Crown, that these people have been running South Africa and my dictates for many decades, that I have benefited from this and that I willingly allowed this to happen. I want to ask your forgiveness tonight for the fact that you had to suffer because of my lack of will to put my life on the line to fight for your freedom. I truly apologize that your freedom was removed at my hand, and I take full responsibility for every action that removed your free will, that removed your humanity, that removed your citizenry, that turned you into a subject of a British system that I am very well versed with, that I believed initially would create a better future for everyone, for the greater good of humanity. Now I admit that I was wrong. I see what has happened to you as a nation, and I am pained by my decisions. I commit at this time to, within the African National Congress, meet with our top leadership and make a concerted decision to start with a process of creating a new governance system for the people of South Africa, where we will change the way we elect our leaders, where we will change how we govern through best world practice, not the practice of other governments, the best world practice that we can find in industry. We will implement those practices in the new governance system, and I relinquish my title as president of this country while that process takes place. I will ensure that is still governance present during that time, and that all the elected parties under the current electoral system will understand that the party system will be no more. That each and every individual that seeks to be a representative to the citizens of this wonderful country, that they will bravely stand up and be counted and have the people decide who will lead them in future, where we will carve out a new system for policing, for the military, for governance, for schooling. We will carve out new systems for every facet of civil society, and we will make sure that the people of South Africa are seen openly through the mainstream media as the highest decision-making authority, again, as it should have been in their day-to-day lives. That when they vote, it actually means that they are the highest court in the country, that they are the highest level of decision makers, and that they are actually the government, and that the people elected to serve them are exactly that, servants of the people. I want to really apologize to you now, lastly, for failing my family, my wife, and my children for the future that I've created for them, where they will not be able to exercise their freedoms. In a world where money is not a factor anymore, in a world where technology will dictate how we live, I have denied my culture, I have denied my heritage, and I have denied my faith. And I want to humbly apologize to you for doing that. And I beg your forgiveness this day as I go on my knees and plead with you for forgiveness. And I plead with you as a nation to stand together, people from all backgrounds, religions, and persuasions, to form this new governance system, to form this new community structures throughout the country, to form this new belief in a nation, and that the state of this nation will start improving from this day forward to a place where we can claim rightfully that we are a superpower, not because of the weapons we possess, but because of the type of citizenry that we have. The fact that there are no people among us that are subject to corporations or subject to government, that people will be allowed to empower themselves from this time forth in their own time, in their own measure, within their own capability. And I want to apologize to the frail, the weak, and the people that are defenseless, the young children, the babies, for failing them. And I want to ask for forgiveness for the rich and the middle class who I stole from to give to the poor, instead of giving the people that have an opportunity to open their hearts themselves and help the poor and the destitute. Instead, I implemented policies that forcefully took money from you, stole money from you to give to others. I took the heart out of giving. I took your loving and caring nature for granted. And I decided that you will not exercise your humanity. And I will rather steal from you to give to the poor, like some Robin Hood of the modern era. I apologize to you for being that thief. I apologize to you for not uplifting those of you that are frail and need help in society, so that you can help yourself. That I did not trust in communities to help you. That I would rather give things to you so that you would vote for my party, instead of trusting other people in society to show their humanity and work together as a nation. I want to apologize lastly to the youth and the children of this country for allowing the most ghastly, un-Christ-like doctrine and principles to be taught in school. And I say this as a Christian. For circumstances and situations to be taught to you that no 9-year-old or 10-year-old or 11-year-old or anyone older than that should ever be exposed to through the comprehensive sexuality education program. And I will action the Minister of Education to cease this program with immediate effect. I will assure you that I will make sure that our ministry assists everyone willing to homeschool their children. I want to assure you that I will stop any taxing or any regulations against people that want to become self-reliant, that want to have their own electricity supply, that want to have their own food and water supply, that want to look after their families and communities, that want to look after the sickly, the poor, and the other vulnerable people in society. I want to guarantee you that I will stop any subversion against those people, and I will allow them to flourish in their own right as we transition to this new system that we will carve out. And tonight I ask all of the members of parliament to resign so that we can start this new process to a new political system where we can ask the people of this nation to go to the polls in a year from now and vote for individuals. And I guarantee you that I will run for the office of president as an independent, not relying on a party, not relying on globalist elites funding my election with over R1 billion that could have helped so many people in this country. I apologize to you for the ways and means that I have allowed for myself to come into this office. And I guarantee to you that I will ask you for your trust in future as I run in a direct election system where you can vote for me as your future president or for any of the other candidates that will put themselves forward. I guarantee you that this British Westminster system will never be used again. That I will rebuild Parliament in a South African new system, and that this new system will be housed in whichever way is best suited for it as we rebuild what we now call Parliament. That we will bury the past and actually continue with the transition into the future as we should have done post 1994. I apologize to you for maintaining the status quo that always served the global elites, large corporations and banks, as well as the legal fraternity. I apologize to you for being there while the judiciary was captured, for being there and doing nothing while the military was captured, while the police was captured. I apologize to you for giving instructions to the Minister of Police to give instruction to various groups in the police to commit the most heinous things against the citizens of this country when it was their duty to protect the citizens. I lastly apologize to you for every treasonous and traitorous act that I have committed towards my country where I was born, my culture, the Venda people. And I humble myself before you and ask you for your honest forgiveness. And I hope that the members of this parliament will heed my call. Let us start anew. Let us start afresh. And let us use the good citizens of this country that still have humanity in their hearts to come forward and be brave, be resilient, be self-reliant, be heroes, risk their lives to save others. For this greater good ideology that has scourged our country to be put aside and for people to have the freedom to exercise their rights and live with the consequences. I apologize to you for imposing anything on you to control your life, for me seeing myself as your father instead of a moral example. I apologize to you for failing you and never setting that example. as a moral leader. And I plead with you, the people of this country, that you will remain calm during this time, that you will remain peaceful during this time, and that you will take each other's hands. People from all parts of South Africa, from all provinces, from all the towns, that you will unite at this time in one common goal: for this country to heal from its past. And I give you my honest commitment that, come what may, that I will face whatever will come my way due to everything that I have revealed to you tonight. And I am willing to live with those consequences now, as I hope that you are willing to live with the consequences of your inaction in the past. I thank you. Thanks for watching. That was quite sombering for me to go through that. I didn't prepare that speech. You got it raw as it came into my mind, and I think it just encapsulates so many things that we need to think about at this time. But that is what I know. That is how I feel, and hopefully that'll become reality.